Now, cast your mind back to a few months ago when we were welcoming our newest advertiser and our newest partner, which was Oasis Community Housing. Well, they're back with us again for another campaign because they had a month or so off because they're so busy doing events and getting this sorted and that sorted. And what you may have gathered from their social media channels is they do like to have fun. So far, we've seen Joanne and the team doing football. We've seen them doing golf. We've seen them doing parties and all kinds of stuff. So joining me now is Joanne Armstrong from Oasis Community Housing. Good morning to you.
Morning, are you all right?
I'm very well. So let's do what we call in the industry a reset and tell us what we need to know about Oasis Community Housing.
So we are a Christian homelessness charity. We work across the UK, but predominantly in the northeast of England and in South London. We're absolutely fantastic. We do a lot of really, really good work. And we're working really hard at the moment to build and sustain the work that we're doing. So we're kind of trying to get as many people as we can talking about us, talking about our work, getting behind us and supporting our work. And we are just launching today our Christmas campaign, which is called our Giving a Home campaign, where we're hoping to raise as much money and as much support and as much prayer as possible to help us support as many people facing homelessness through the winter period and beyond.
And it's great work that you do. Sadly, with the crises at the moment, you must have your work cut out. You must have seen an increase in people who are actually finding themselves homeless.
Yeah, I think it's a really difficult time, and I think it's a difficult time for everyone, which makes this a double struggle because we have a lot of people who would ordinarily donate think, oh, well, I need to tighten my belt, and we really understand and appreciate that. You know, we're all of us having to turn the heating off and put dressing gowns on and tell our kids to, that no, you can't have that treat, you can't have this. But what we see is really the sharp edge of everything. You know, we're seeing people who aren't just having to put dressing gowns on and aren't just having to cut back and not have that holiday. We're having people who are sleeping in tents. Um, we'll have people sleeping out on the streets on benches, and we're having people who can't afford to eat. And domestic abuse is a big part of this as well. So we have a specific domestic abuse team, but we do see abuse and experiences of abuse and of violence across kind of the whole cohort of people who are coming through our doors. And when there are economic pressures, we tend to see a rise in the need for support around those areas. So yeah, it's a really difficult time for everybody, but it's a particularly difficult time for those who are most vulnerable in our society. Yeah.
And some people are only one paycheck away from being homeless, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think that's quite a scary thought, isn't it? And just last year we had a family turn up at one of our drop-ins, and they had their children with them, and they even had a rabbit, their pet rabbit, which for some reason that rabbit in particular just really got me. That just that image of them turning up, and we were thankfully able to house them, and the staff even went out and got rabbit food that day, which is so lovely. Um, but that's frightening, isn't it? That's frightening for everybody. And I think it's really important that we all as a society try to come together to put steps in place that when people fall through the net, there's somebody safe there to catch them and to pick them back up and do everything they can to get them back on their feet and get them safe and supported. I think the rental market at the moment is quite frightening for a lot of people because with mortgage rates changing, it's just wait until you get to the end of your term, isn't it? And then is that provider, is that landlord going to really push that rent right up? And do they have to? Have they been forced to because their bills have gone up? Or were they choosing to? And you're kind of at the mercy of that, you know. We can't all of us suddenly magically downsize when, you've got young children and stuff like that. So, or if you lose your job and you can't pay your rent anymore, it's just things can kind of cascade, can't they? So yeah, it's a scary situation right now for many people.
And it must be for you and the team there, it must be an emotional roller coaster. I mean, I could see then that you thinking back to that family turning up and the rabbit, you were getting tearful because you and the team, you don't just do this because it's a job. You do it because you actually care and you want to make a difference. And it must be, as I said, it must be such a challenge for you all there because you never know from one day to the other what will be turning up. who you'll have to help. And, when you've got full families who are saying, actually, we need your help because without that, we're going to be homeless. And we're all here, including the pets. It must be heartbreaking for you guys there. So what I want to do actually is to send our listeners to your website where you can find out all about Oasis Community Housing. It's a really simple web address, oasiscommunityhousing.org. Head over there. And today they have started their Christmas appeal. We didn't plan on it being a Christmassy feel show, but since starting this morning, it seems like loads of Christmassy things are coming in. So have a look at the website, oasiscommunityhousing.org. Now, what we're going to do is to play a song, and we'll be back with Joanne in just a moment. But I'll tell you something, if you've got any questions that you would like to ask Oasis Community Housing, maybe how they get their funding, maybe you want to ask about how you can help them, all this kind of stuff, then you will find the WhatsApp number on our website, but I'll read it to you here: 0161 511 9555, 0161 511 9555. And we've got more from Joanne next. This is Connect Radio and it's the Breakfast Show. We are joined by our friends and partners, Oasis Community Housing. Joanne Armstrong is here with us at the moment. Do you know, I've not actually asked your title, Joanne. You could be anything at Oasis Community Housing for all I know.
I'm the community fundraiser, so I look after the community fundraising. So it's a good job because I get to do lots of really, really lovely things. So I get to do like comedy nights and football nights and fundraising on the street, which actually I'm sure people think sounds terrible, but actually I love it. Going out with a bucket and chatting to people on the street. Yeah, and the more difficult bit is I go in and out of the projects and gather all of the case studies and the stories and work with staff. Just to make sure the stories get where they need to be and people hear from the people that matter the most.
A question in from Paul, and he says, do the staff at Oasis Community Housing get support as well? Because having to deal with these situations, have they got anybody to offload to?
Yes. So as a charity, we really believe in doing things as really properly, really taking the time to do things properly. And our staff are a huge part of that. If the staff don't feel supported, don't feel cared about, don't feel valued, and their mental health isn't bolstered as much as possible, they cannot do that job. You're getting people coming in on a daily basis with disclosures of rape, of assault, abuse. We had a story of a woman who was set on fire by an ex-partner. We have stories where people have ended up homeless, and when you get down into it, they've had a childhood full of horrific things, so our staff get support. We're a Christian charity, but you don't have to be a Christian to work here. But there is that level of support for the staff who are Christian or who are non-Christian but want to access that. We also have things like clinical supervisions and ongoing support so that you can offload to somebody and share what you've been going through and tools to help you process that. So yeah, that does mean, though, of course, that we're constantly having to seek funding to make sure. I think when you're not inside of a charity, you don't always know what's really needed to get really, really positive long-term results, and that you need those support steps in place to make sure you can make a real long-term difference to people's lives. Yeah.
And everybody needs to offload. This is a thing because I think sometimes we assume that the people working on the battlefield, whether or not it's people like you, it's the pastors, it's the therapists, they also need to offload because they're only human as well. So again, head over to the website and you can make a donation. You can find out more about what they're doing. Maybe they're doing work in your area at the moment. Maybe you're not too far away. We'll get in touch with them and you could pop down. But do contact them first to make sure that's all right. Don't just turn up on the doorstep. oasiscommunityhousing.org. And tell us a little bit about, so you were saying off there actually about how there's been a shift at Oasis because you're now realizing that actually you can't just tackle homelessness. You also need to help people with other aspects of it, their mental health and all other bits.
Yeah, so we've known for a very long time, and our staff are so good and they're so in tune with everybody that they support, and they have this really open, grace kind of attitude of love and acceptance. And they've known for a long time that the people coming through the doors who are long-term homeless, who really struggle, who when you put steps in place, they just keep falling back down and down. have experienced trauma. So we've known this, but what we've done this year is we've put the research into really gathering the evidence. So we've gathered some evidence, we've done some research, we've worked with some partners, and we're actually taking that to Parliament this week as part of a trauma campaign to really highlight the fact that the experiences of this group of people are heartbreaking. You know, the stories that we could tell, they will stay with you. You know, the one I mentioned earlier about a woman being set on fire while she was asleep by an ex-partner. We had a guy who was every weekend from the age of 7 to 27 locked in a room at the weekend and starved by his parents. And it's not easy to resolve homelessness as an adult when you've got those things in your past. You know, we had a guy who was a train driver, successful career, sorted a home, and somebody committed suicide. They stepped in front of his train, and the traumatic kind of repercussions of that upon him and his mental health and his ability to sort of deal with that and process that, and the lack of support. We know mental health support is lacking in this country. At the time that he needed it meant that he ended up losing his job, he lost his home, he's been street homeless. So we're working really, really hard, firstly, to talk about this, to share about this, to say that actually you can't just give somebody a sleeping bag and a Greg's pasty and fix homelessness. You know, you have to really give long-term proper support. And we have one of our projects in particular is psychologically informed, and it's been a lifesaver for many, many, many people, where all of the staff have this real attitude of understanding trauma, understanding the repercussions, understanding how behaviours can manifest that we would term as challenging. You know, we can write people off as being really difficult and they don't want help and they're not accepting help. But when you understand the process of trauma impacting mental health, impacting behaviour, you can really give somebody tailored support to help them heal. And we need your support as a community with that. We need your prayers. We need you talking to your church about us, and we need you jumping on the website and making a donation. Every single donation makes a huge, huge difference to us. It really does. Part of my job is I get the little ping. I get like a little ping when somebody donates, and I can tell you whether somebody donates, you know, £100, £50, £5, I'm equally like thrilled, and because I'm like, oh, that's more we can do. That's more support, and also to me it means that's somebody out there at home thinking about us and thinking about homelessness, and that care and that love, that's what kind of ultimately transforms lives. So, you know, if you're thinking you can't afford to donate, please remember that £5 is equally as appreciated as £100. It really matters to us.
So make Joanne's phone ping by giving a donation. That would be great. And as she said, it can be any amount. Go to the website. You can make a donation there, a small donation, a large donation, a monthly one, a weekly one, oasiscommunityhousing.org. And we know it's difficult times, but come on, dig deep and help these guys to help other people. I do think that you should have a big poster that says, we don't just give a home and a Greg's pasty, we give much more than that. That should be a phrase that you use just to hit it home, the fact that you do a lot more than that. Well, Joanne, thank you very much for your time. Love and prayers to you and all the team, and keep up doing the great work. I know that you'll probably have some days when it feels like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders, but you know, we appreciate it, and the people you are helping certainly appreciate it. So go to the website, oasiscommunityhousing.org. Thanks, Joanne, and you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, all the listeners as well. Thanks, Gareth.